Here at Wyopreps.com, we focus on our game of the week, and our big school efforts takes us to Class 2A, just edging out a 3A game this week. We got an interesting one, kind of a rivalry matchup in some other sports, but these two haven't played on the gridiron in a while, and it takes us to the 2A West Conference, which has always had some entertaining and close games. And you got number 4 Lovell on the road at number 3 Worland. Pleased to be joined by Lovell head coach Nicc Crosby. And Nicc, saw you back in August. Here we are, middle of the season. You're 2-2 coming into this weekend. How would you assess where your team's at right now?
I think we're going in the right direction. Those two early losses were to some really quality programs, and they've proven to continue to have success. I think we've learned from those, and I think we're growing and learning from our mistakes there. But we definitely have a long way to go. And we'll certainly be put to the test this Friday and see how our improvement's really going. We're really making the strides that we're hoping we're making, or what. So Friday we'll say a lot.
What do you like the most about the improvements, and where maybe have you improved the most, do you think, so far?
I feel like we have a lot more depth than what we've had earlier in the year. We've played people with some different styles, and so we've been able to kind of scheme up for those and try some different people out there. So depth-wise, for sure. And I feel like second half of the Thermopolis game, defensively, we started to get an identity and an attitude, and I hope that's not an anomaly. I hope our defense brings it, because we're certainly going to need to have that this Friday and moving forward in conference play.
Are there any concerns right now that you feel like you still need to address?
There's always little things that you're trying to work on here and there, but I don't have any major concerns right now. Just trying to continue to make those adjustments and improvements and see how things go.
Davin Crosby, Braxton Falcons, a couple of your leaders. Have you seen other guys, though, maybe step up even more than leadership-wise, just with their play that has you kind of trending in the right direction right now, Nicc?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just pretty obviously we've got a lot of skill guys. Davin's been throwing the ball to. Pick a week, you'll have a different guy leading the team in receptions and yards. And then just overall, our offensive line play has been really solid with our pass protection. Last week we got to running the ball quite a bit more, so I've been very pleased with with those guys up front. And just from a week to week basis, there's just seems to be somebody who steps up. We've had some really big plays in special teams. We've got some seniors who aren't seeing the field as much on offense and defense, but they've made some really big plays for us on special teams. That's really helped swing the momentum in our favor. So all those things are kind of trending in the right direction for us right now.
All right, now you get a big one. It's Worland, which, not too far from you guys, but they've been in a different class for, eons, it seems like. Is there any sort of rivalry aspect to this matchup? Are you getting that type of a sense from even the guys on your own team?
I think rivalries take a while to build, but certainly we know them, they know us. We play each other in basketball. We've been playing them in JV football wise all this time too. So I can surely see it going that way. Okay. With our proximity and with the caliber of teams that I think we're both going to be now and in the future. But I guess I'd push the pause button on that rivalry thing just yet.
Fair enough. Well, what are your impressions of Coach Wrage's bunch down there in Worland?
Boy, there's a lot to like about that group, unless you're playing against them. No, they're an experienced group. They've got a lot of size. They play very physical football, but they also have speed and skill. So quite the combination. And then they've developed a lot of depth as well. You can see one guy goes off the field, they bring some other guys out there, and there's not really a drop. So they're well coached. They're going to come at you hard. Their defense doesn't give up many yards, let alone many points. And offensively, they can run it or pass it. So Yeah, tons that he's doing really well with that group down there, and tons we have to prepare for. I'm certainly going to have to play a very solid game to give ourselves an opportunity to win on Friday.
I was going to ask you, without giving away your game plan here, what are you kind of stressing to the kids this week as you prepare for seeing the Warriors?
Yeah, offensively, we're going to have to be able to take advantage of what matchups they give us.
Okay.
We watch film, but we know that they're going to have different game plans for what we throw at them. So we're just going to have to see what matchups they give us and take advantage of those things, whether that's in the run or the pass. And then defensively, we're just going to have to be very disciplined. They run and throw the ball out of a lot of different formations. They've got a lot of different weapons as well. So some teams you can say, hey, we need to lock down this receiver or this receiver, but they're very balanced. They use backs out of the backfield quite a bit as well. And so just a lot of discipline and communication defensively in order to kind of keep them under wraps a little bit.
Well, Nicc, as always, I appreciate the time. I know this is a big one for both of you, conference standings wise. You can't afford to drop too many games in the difficult 2A West, but I wish you best luck on Friday at Worland.
Sure appreciate it. Thanks so much, David.
We continue talking about our Wyopreps fan voted game of the week, and we're in the 2A West Conference this week. The Worland Warriors are hosting the Lovell Bulldogs in a big matchup in the 2A West Conference. Head coach Marty Wrage of the Worland Warriors joins me. And Coach, thanks so much for a few minutes of your time here. I know I saw you back in the preseason. You were trying to work some things into your new system, new philosophies with your group. You're off to a 3-1 start. How, from your perspective, are things going with your bunch?
Well, I think they're getting along pretty well. We're pleased with what we're doing, and it's like anything. You got to kind of move players around, and it kind of fits what we do, and then works with players. But the thing with this group is it's nice is they've been real receptive on just taking on what they need to do.
Where have you seen the most progress here as you reach the midpoint of the season, whether it's been, especially in a positive way, out of this group?
Well, probably just being more consistent, not only how we practice, but how we kind of work with each other and treat each other, and just practice in a certain way and really doing the film study and doing the work that they need to do. They've really caught up on that and just really improved week to week.
Do you have any concerns here midway through the year with your group right now?
Well, the only concern I guess we all have is you're trying to get everybody healthy. You have this one, and this one was going to be back right away, and now it's 2 weeks. But that's everybody, so that's not it. It's always a concern, but I was glad early that we used a lot of people and developed some more flexibility. We had players that were working at fullback and tight end, and four backs were playing receiver. So that's helped us the last couple of weeks, and we're starting to get some of these guys back. So that's good too.
Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on how your quarterback Colt Weber's been playing for you and what you've seen in his development.
Right, he just keeps developing it each week, throwing and running, kind of making different choices in that. The growth is really good, and he's very tough on himself at times. Um, but that's kind of goes along with quarterbacks too. But I'm just really pleased with his progress because he's ultra competitive, kind of a quiet kid, but he wants to gain a yard just as fast as anybody, and his running has started showing up, and that's been more natural to him. And just trying to figure out when it is run or pass. That we run here, we get out here. You still have to do that the way everybody hits in 2A also.
This is an interesting one. I asked Coach Nicc the same question. These two communities not that far apart, but obviously you guys haven't been, in the same conference and same level classification for a long time. So the first meeting since 2004. Is there any sort of rivalry aspect to this one between Lovell and Worland from your perspective?
I don't think so. There's no talk here. And really, when you make that switch, it's kind of strange because they asked me a lot of questions because I spent that time in Grable, and that was my conference, the levels and all them and the mountain views. And so the kids, it's been interesting the last couple of months as we go places or you go do this, where is this? What's this town have? What was their football like? And I said, it's a lot like it was a few years ago.
Gotcha.
Lovell and I, we played a lot of good games, and us in Mountain View. And so the similarities, and there's a lot of the same coaches around
Yeah.
still too, Walk still in Mountain View. But the football is still really good in 2A, and that was probably a draw for me anyway.
We'll talk a little bit about what are your impressions of the Bulldogs coming to this one Friday night.
Well, with a lot of film study, and they're awful good. They're really talented. Defensively, they do all the right things, and offensively, even if you slow them down, it looked like at times, which people have really had trouble with that. But then it opens up, and the second half they really come out and they start moving the ball, not only running it, but they're passing down the field. The one thing that sticks out is their quarterback to me. Can throw from any level as far as he zips that ball, and it went out there, and it was a flare, but it kind of turned up, and 35 yards, he just shot it out there. And it comes out a little faster than most quarterbacks.
Well, obviously, I'm not asking for your game plan, but what have you been emphasizing in terms of some things that kind of tip the scales in your favor with your group? What have you been really focusing on in practice this week to put you over the top in a game like this?
Yeah, and it is a lot of basics. But one thing we do have to clean up is we got to clean up penalties.
Okay.
And even, and we talk about it too. Well, we're in the right position, wrong position, but you had your hands on it. We're just saying, just don't get hot half the time. We look guilty. You throw your hands up or get out of the way. I'm going, so I don't know if it's acting or what it was, but we said, as soft as it's being called, we got to stay clean. And if it's 40 yards away from you, what are you doing making contact with somebody? So that's been a big deal. But the other thing too, as we go down the stretch here, it's blocking and tackling is really a lot of what it is. And we go with our O and D line. That group carries us, and we got a lot of skilled kids around it. But that group kind of gets us going.
Coach, thank you so much for your time. Wish you best luck at home on Friday night against the Bulldogs.
Well, appreciate it. Thanks for your time.